For a fruit grower, that's probably the saddest sound of all. These are 60-year-old pear trees just outside Shepparton in central Victoria. It's a family's lifetime of work being snapped and bundled up, ready to be burnt off. Peter Hall, I guess this is probably an emotional time for the family.
Yeah, it's a bit disturbing to see trees that my father planted getting crushed under an excavator, for sure.
There's no future for this particular section of trees. Tell us why.
Effectively, because of the importation of canned products, the high Australian dollar, and the dumping of product into our country, this particular variety of fruit, which is only a canning pear, some is sold on the fresh market, but generally it's a canning pear. It's in excess of what's required by our Australian market.
So you can't afford to be too sentimental about these trees. Why the need to quickly bring them down and destroy them?
Okay, well, there's quite an imperative. Very soon, these trees are dormant at the moment, but in a couple of weeks' time they'll wake up, they'll start to grow blossoms, nice little flowers, which are the beginning of fruit. Once that fruit develops, unless we look after it in terms of normal tree husbandry, making sure that there's no pest and disease, they will be host sites, particularly for Queensland fruit fly and all the other pests and disease that affect orchards. So if we don't pull them out and they grow those fruits, then we're in trouble later on in the year.
So part of the problem is what's about to happen, but you've also got some old fruit here on this tree, which also presents an issue?
That's right. This fruit actually wasn't required last year. The cannery told us that they didn't need it, so we left it on the tree. So we're actually doing now, what will happen if we left these trees in here. We're actually removing these trees so they don't produce this fruit again.
And this is being replicated orchard by orchard right across the Goulburn Valley.
We think there's about 750 hectares of fruit trees that are going to need this sort of treatment. They need to be pulled out of the ground. They're in excess of what the canning industry in Australia needs. Multiply that by, say, 50 or 60 tonnes per hectare, that's a lot of fruit.
And that obviously means jobs and the lifeblood and the livelihood of this community. What's it going to do to Shepparton and the surrounding areas?
I think it's a real challenge. Horticulture or growing fruit in this area is very jobs rich. We spend a lot of money employing people to prune, to thin the fruit, to pick the fruit, to run our orchards, and when we pull them out, that means there's less jobs in our community, and jobs are the lifeblood of rural communities, so it will have an impact on them.
Now the point you've made is this has been in a very efficient orchard. This is a very efficient industry by world standards, but you can't make a go of it.
That's right. I mean, this industry's been around for nearly 100 years. In our area, growing fantastic fruit that's been enjoyed by people all over the world. We used to export fruit all over the world. It's just that we've got a situation now where the imports are so great, they're unfettered. We believe they're being dumped into the country. You have a very strange scenario. You have probably one of the world's best canners in SPC Ardmona. You have some of the world's best growers using some of the best technologies in the world. You have some of the best places to grow fruit. The Goulburn Valley is recognised around the world as one of the best places to grow fruit, yet those three things aren't enough to mount an offensive against the imports that come into our country, and we believe that that's because they're dumped here.
Now you're hoping that kind of argument will hold sway when you come to look at the kind of emergency tariff assistance that this industry needs.
That's right. We think it's a very legitimate case. Sometimes around the world people put up ambit cases to try to put false barriers and trade barriers in place. We believe our case is quite sound. We believe that we can demonstrate that the cost that people incur producing fruit in other countries is much greater than what they're selling in our markets. So we think we have a very good case there, and we're asking, the government and the Productivity Commission to make sure that they look very closely at this and they'll see the facts as we see them.
Well, that's what's going to happen down the track, but before that happens, of course, orchards one by one here in the Goulburn Valley are going by the wayside.